wanted to make this video. I don't care what y'all say. Yes, I'm using Vicks. Lost my chapstick. It actually works. All right. Okay, so let's get into it. No BS. You ever imagine why you've been manifesting something and you haven't seen it yet in your 3D? Well, I'm here to tell you that there is a delay. Now, I know that you guys, some people in the comments are going to tell me, I don't believe that. There's no delay. If you think it's a delay, then you're stopping your manifestation. You're the one that's stopping it from blossoming or whatever. Because there's a lot of coaches that sit here and tell you guys that you can manifest within this certain amount of time. But everyone manifests differently. And I don't know how many times I have to keep saying this, but this is real. This is facts. And I want to talk about this because Neville Goddard talked about how before you can actually see your desire in 3D, it has to first be imagined in the 4D. You have to already be living in the wish fulfilled. Everything has to already be done in the 4D realm before it can actually manifest into the 3D realm. And let's get into it. So a lot of times there's a reason why your manifestation can be on a delay, right? And I actually asked ChatGPT this, no cap. And ChatGPT actually gave me some pretty good reasons, actually. Neville Goddard explained that you may not be living in the end consistently, okay? Doubt and contradictory thoughts can dig up the seed. Time is part of the 3D illusion. In the 4D, the desire is already fulfilled, okay? So 9 times out of 10, a lot of us can be, our thoughts run on autopilot most of the time. So you're not waking up and telling yourself, I'm thinking about this. No, subconsciously you are thinking about things that you were unaware of. And this doesn't mean to keep track of all your thoughts because there's no possible way that you can do that. But what you can do is do techniques that are going to help you stay within the wish fulfilled, okay? And those techniques can be affirmations, visualizations, or simply going on a mental diet. Now, when you have embodied the state of being in the wish fulfilled, you're not going to want to do those techniques. You're just going to be completely living from the end, already having what you want. And this is where a lot of people they don't realize when these coaches are telling you guys that there's no delay. Some coaches do say this because they're being truthful. Some of these other people are like, Neville Goddard never spoke of delay. That's a lie. He did, because Neville even said it himself. The 3D has to catch up because in your 4D, the wish is already done. The desire is already, it's already spoken for. The seed has already been planted. It's blossomed in the 4D, okay? It's just like gardening, for example. Neville said if you plant a seed, you constantly water it, right? You're consistently watering the seed, but you're not going out there to keep digging it up to see whether or not it's blossoming, whether or not it's growing. That's not what you do with your desire. So it's going to take time because in the 3D, sometimes it doesn't instantly just shift right away. This is not magic. This is not you asking for a wish and being on the Fairly Odd Parents, I wish, and then it just automatically happens. That's not what goes on. I'm sorry, but I'm not going to sit here and BS you guys and make you assume that, oh, I'm not going to come on here and tell you I can help you manifest your specific person or this and that within a few minutes. No, because to me, realistically, that doesn't make sense. And the only reason it doesn't is because I've noticed this before. In your 3D, it does take time for things to naturally unfold. It's not going to happen on your time. It's not going to happen on your time. That's why a lot of us get so anxious. We get, like, for example, you have certain individuals that will try to manifest in a crunch time. Time is an illusion, okay? It shouldn't matter the time of when you get your desire. It doesn't matter what day you get it, what year, it doesn't matter. Not saying that your desire is going to take a long time, because no, But I am saying that a lot of people will start to get anxiety, and this is how people start to form doubts. A lot, and it's crazy because in the law of assumption community, there's this, it doesn't make any sense to me. It's like I'm seeing different videos. I've seen videos where people have talked about Neville Goddard speaking of the law of attraction, which is false because Neville Goddard never even spoke of the law of attraction. Bob Proctor spoke of it, Reverend Ike Legacy spoke of the law of attraction, and so on and so forth, and other people who believed in the secret. Neville Goddard actually was being taught by Abdullah, which was his teacher, and I believe so that Abdullah didn't only just teach Neville Goddard, but he also taught Joseph Murphy. But Joseph Murphy and Neville Goddard thought differently when it came to consciousness. They thought the way they saw things was, it was kind of the same, but it wasn't the same. Neville thought you just living in the wish fulfilled. Joseph Murphy thought more so of you subconsciously or consciously being able to not just only change your thoughts, but change yourself, like look at it from a different perspective, right? So it's not more so like he thought of living in the end. Actually, let me go to it so that way I'm not BSing you guys. Because I remember looking at this. I asked ChatGPT everything. I didn't even go cap. Okay, so here we go. I want to make sure that I'm speaking from the right angle here. Neville, which emphasized the Bible as a psychological allegory, right? He believed that God is your imagination. You're the operant power. Joseph Murphy was grounded in scientific prayer and the subconscious mind, integrated psychology, metaphysics, and spiritual teachings. Believed that God is the subconscious mind or a higher power you can impress with belief, more aligned with classical religious belief systems, though still metaphysical, right? So those are from individuals who studied the law, but they also interpreted it in a different way, okay? So it's just the same thing for other people who are choosing to manifest. Some people might choose to look at the law of assumption. Some people might choose to look towards the law of attraction. So you have to remember that you're not going to manifest the same way as that person did. Now, I might get hate for this video because a lot of people want me to want you to sit there and tell them something false. Now, if you believe that, if you have a dominant thought that you believe that, okay, your manifestation can happen at this moment, then yes, I'm not saying that that can't happen. But however, if you're somebody who you know that you've operated on a certain level, a lower frequency, and you never really believed that, okay, believed in manifestation, or not even just believed in manifestation, but you operated on a level of where you were lacking, right? And you were trying to flip your thoughts and you weren't really putting in the work that you needed to put in order to change your thoughts and create your dominant state, as so you can actually already manifest your reality. So if you are someone who's done that, then maybe it may take you longer, and depending on what you've experienced and things that you have went through in your lifetime, it's going to probably take you a little bit longer. Not saying that it'll take you years, no. But with consistent practice and also with persistency and constantly not and not always looking for towards the 3D for validation is going to help you stay in that end state. Because what we want is we want results right now. They say, don't say trust in divine timing, right? It's your timing. Okay, but here's the thing. The universe and God is bringing you your manifestation. You are the God in the universe of your reality, okay? So it's not probably going to happen the way you want it to happen, and it's going to happen better than what you've imagined. Because yes, we use our imagination. we form a image in our minds that this is where I see myself. This is where I want to be in life, right? And that's totally fine. However, the way you imagine it, it could go way better than what you've seen it as. You could be like, wait, I didn't even expect this to happen, you know? So trust the process, and don't just look towards other coaches or other people that are telling you, hey, you know, you're just watching these videos. A lot of you watch these videos and don't apply the law yourselves. In order for it to work in your life, you have to be willing to apply it. If you're not going to apply it, then why are you watching the videos? And also, don't just go based off of what another person says. Look, study, and research, and go based off of what you say. Everything that I tell you guys on my channel is from my own personal experience. But what I've said and what I've done may not work for you, because everyone is different. Just like Joseph Murphy and Neville Goddard interpreted the law differently, and how they saw you creating your reality in a different way, it's just like reading the Bible. A lot of people are not going to interpret the Bible the same way. We have different minds. Nobody is the same, right? So it's like we're going to see things in a different perspective, and that's okay. So I'm not saying that your manifestation is, I'm not telling you to just say like, oh, it's a delay and manifest that. No. But if you see something, in order to, don't ignore the 3D, because you can't ignore the 3D. You're living it every day. That makes no sense. That's bullshit. Don't let nobody tell you ignore the 3D. This is how you ignore the 3D. No. And it's also not about being delusional. Neville said you're not even being delusional. Your imagination is what creates your reality. Therefore, your imagination is your reality. There's no doubt about that. So what you have imagined and what you have suppressed is real. Just because the 3D hasn't instantly showed it to you doesn't mean that it's not working. Things happen in silence, okay? So it's more so, it's like when they say, don't tell people your next move. Move in silence. That's what's happening behind the scenes. And this is what gets people anxious. This is where I see a lot of people saying, oh, I only listen to this person because this is that and that is this. It's not to say that what you want is not done. It's already done in the 4D. But yes, it might take a little time to manifest in the 3D, and that's okay. That doesn't mean that that doesn't mean look at it in a negative way. And I'm not telling you to think that it's just a delay, but no, if you are in and out of states, depending on your dominant thoughts and how you feel, maybe you might not be living in the end the way you think you are. Because 1 minute you might be contradicting yourself, like Neville said. You might say 1 minute I have it, and then the next minute it's not there. And that can also be causing a delay as well. Right? So the 3D does have to catch up. Even if you do have that thought, those dominant thoughts that yes, it's done. I don't need techniques. I'm living in the Sabbath state. I'm choosing my reality, and I'm choosing to be happy. Okay? I see a lot of people where you could just fall asleep to beliefs at night. You do not need to affirm 24/7. You do not need to visualize 24/7. And I'm also going to talk about something else that I learned from ChatGPT that a lot of other I've heard of another coach that talked about this and said that you can't suppress your subconscious if you're imagining something while your eyes are open. That's not true, because no matter what, if you're daydreaming, like say if you know how when you go into, because I daydream, I'm a Cancer, and Cancers, we're always living in our imagination. So when we are just lost, like when I just get quiet, or like when I'm going on a ride and I'm into my music and I'm into my zone, I'll look out the window and I'll just naturally, thoughts start to flow to my head. Not bad thoughts, but just about what I want and my desires, right? And basically my desires will come naturally. And I'm just like, dang, and then I get this feeling in my chest. It's like a good feeling, like a warm feeling that comes over me. And I remember asking ChatGPT, do you have to visualize? You do not need to visualize or use stats in order to manifest what you want. And you don't need to close your eyes all the time. Not everybody can visualize the end state, and that's totally fine. It's what works for you. But I'm here to tell you that, yes, the 3D is going to have to catch up. So it doesn't mean that your manifestation is not working. It doesn't mean that nothing is happening. It just means that you need to trust in behind the scenes, and you need to make sure that you continue to live in the end. Do not contradict yourself, and do not be wishy-washy about what you want. Make the decision and stick to it. But do not allow these coaches or these people out here to tell you things and you guys aren't applying the law. You can watch videos all you want. And I'm not saying don't listen to coaches. I'm not saying that they're lying. But what I'm telling you is you need to find out what works for you. Okay? So I'm going based off of what Neville Goddard's teachings were, right? And because I'm gonna call myself the Stud Goddard. The Stud Goddard, exactly. Okay? So, and like I said, I might get a lot of hate for this video, but I'm not even caring about it. So Neville said, here's a quote from Neville: all transformation begins with an intense burning desire to be transformed. You must want to be different and intend to be before you can begin to change yourself. Then you must make your future dream a present fact. You do this by assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Okay? So you have to want to have what you desire, right? You have to want not even what you desire, but you have to want to be different, because this isn't just about getting what you want. This is about transforming your life and recognizing the version of you that already has what you want. That's what this is about. This is remembering. I used to think that you're changing yourself. You're not changing anything. You're recognizing who you are as the operant power and as the God of your reality. You are stepping into the God state. Therefore, you are choosing to operate at a godly state. God does not chase. God does not go and look for things outside. No, God does not need validation. God knows what God wants because it's already God's, right? So when you are transforming, oh, my bad. Sorry, my septum. So when Neville talked about you applying the aim, completing your aim is already knowing that it's done in the 4D. Okay? So you want to be able to transform internally. You want to shift. You don't just want to flip your thoughts, because you can flip your thoughts and not be able to sustain what you desire. Okay? So you want to be able to not just only get the desire, but you want to actually be able to have the desire, sustain it. You want to be able to, not just only obtain it, but you want to keep the desire. So, and by doing that, that is you shifting your identity, right? Joseph Murphy, I'm pretty sure Joseph Murphy probably would say shifting your perspective, looking at things in more of a different subconscious, in more of a conscious way, in a different way. So my bad, distracted. But yeah, so I'm here to tell you guys, stop assuming that, look, you don't have to believe me. I don't care what you believe. Look it up. But Neville did speak saying this, that yes, the 3D it's not going to instantly shift. Not just instantly, not just like that. It's not magic. Stop treating manifestation like it's magic. This is not magic, guys. That's not what this is, okay? So remember that this is a journey. This is a journey of you recognizing your higher self, and this is a journey for you to step into that version of you that's been waiting for you to realize, hey, you do deserve this, and don't settle for less than what you deserve. But like I said, I'm not trying to put any delays on anything, and I'm not putting any delay on my manifestation, because there's things in my 3D, and the old me would question like what's going on. But no, I continue to live in the end, and I continue to persist, because that's what this is about. It's believing in the unseen before you see it. This is not something where, and I want to talk about that later in another video. People are so quick to say they believe in God or Jesus, and you've never seen Jesus. But when you guys hear about manifestation, you think that's not real. How do you think God created this world? God had thought that And within the 7 days, I'm going to, and honestly, I do believe what Neville said, because within the 7th day, God rested on the 7th day, right? When he created Adam and Eve, the world and everything, right? So have you guys ever thought that maybe God had a thought that how he wanted the world to be? He wanted the trees, the ocean, and the land and everything around us. Have you ever thought about that? So that's why I don't understand why people are so quick to say that they believe in Jesus or they believe in God, but you've never seen him. But you're quick to say that manifestation doesn't exist. I don't understand that. But that's another video, right? Okay. But like I said, if it doesn't instantly shift right away, doesn't mean to give up. Just stay in your power, but do not contradict yourself. And do not keep constantly watching these videos. I don't even care if it's my videos. Apply the law. Stop watching videos and not applying the law. Because when you rely on these coaches, or you're relying on these people, you're not relying on yourself. If anything, I'm going to be real with y'all. I'm not telling y'all don't have a coach. But let's be real. You are your own coach. Coach yourself every single day. If you know that there's something that you know that you need to change, then coach yourself through it. Become your own coach. How do you think Neville was able to manifest himself to be in Barbados? He studied the law and he applied it. Don't just be the person that hears, be the doer. All right, I'm done.